Book 3, Land and Labor, Stave 2. Of the value of land and the value of labor. The value of land and of labor must bear to each other an inverse ratio. These two are the terms of production, and while production remains the same, giving more to one is to give less to the other. The value of land is the power, which its ownership gives to appropriate the product of labor, and, as a consequence, where rents, the share of the landowner, are high, wages, the share of the laborer, are low. And thus we see it all over the world. In the countries where land is high, wages are low, and where land is low, wages are high. In a new country, the value of labor is at first at its maximum, the value of land at its minimum. As the population grows and land becomes monopolized and increases in value, the value of labor steadily decreases. And the higher land and the lower wages, the stronger the tendency towards still lower wages, until this tendency is met by the very necessities of existence. For the higher land and the lower wages, the more difficult is it for the man who starts with nothing but his labor to become his own employer, and the more he is at the mercy of the landowner and the capitalist. Of speculation in land. The old prejudice against speculators in food and other articles of necessity is passing away. For more exact habits of thought have shown that where speculators do not control all the sources and means of production, which is impossible as to most things in this age of the world, and speculation does not become monopoly, instead of causing scarcity, it tends to alleviate it. And this, on the one side, by giving notice of the impending scarcity and thus inducing economy, and on the other by stimulating production. But land not being a thing of human production, speculation in land cannot have this result. A country may export people, but it cannot import land. Whatever be the price put upon it, the number of acres in any given place is just so many, with just such capabilities. And though high prices for land may lessen the demand by driving people farther away, this is not an economy, but waste, as the labor of a diffused population cannot be so productive as that of a more concentrated population. Combined action cannot be so effective and economical. Exchanges must be much more difficult and at a greater cost. It is sometimes said, and the English landlords piously believe, that in raising their rents to the highest figure they are doing their best for their fellow men, that the increase in the price of land leads to increased thoroughness of cultivation. Yet how can that be when the increase in the price of land must take from the means of the cultivator, either by reducing his capital when he buys, or by reducing his earnings when he rents? That the two things go together is undoubtedly true. Still, it seems to me that the increased thoroughness of cultivation is due to the increased pressure of population, to higher prices for produce and lower prices for labor, rather than directly to the increased price of land. There is another attribute that land differs from things of human production. It is imperishable. The speculator in grain must sell quickly, not merely because he knows another crop will soon come in, but because his grain will spoil by keeping. The speculator in a manufactured article must also sell quickly, not merely because the mills are at work, but because the articles in which he is speculating will spoil or go out of fashion. Not so with land. The speculator in land can wait. His land will still be there as good as ever. If he dies before he reaps the benefit, the land will be there for his children. Thus, land, being a thing of limited quantity, of imperishable nature, and of unchanging demand, is a thing in which there are more inducements for speculation than in anything else, and being, not the result of human labor but the field for human labor, the increased price caused by speculation is a tax for which there can be no beneficial return. Speculation in land is, in fact, but a shutting out from the land of those who want to use it until they agree to pay the price demanded. The land speculator is a true dog in the manger. He does not want to use the land himself, but he finds his profit in preventing other people from using it. The speculator knows that more people are coming and that they must have land, and he gets hold of the land which they will want to use in order that he may force them to pay him a price for which he gives them no return. That is, that he may appropriate a portion of their labor. Our emigrating race may be likened to a caravan crossing the desert, and the land speculator to one of their number who rides a little in advance, taking possession of the springs as they are reached, and exacting a price from his comrades for the water which nature furnishes without price. Of prospective value as affecting the present value of land. According to the doctrine of rent advanced by Ricardo and Malthus, and generally accepted by the best authorities on political economy, the value of land should be determined by the advantages that it possesses over the least advantageous land in use. This would be true, though subject to the modifications arising from custom and the inertia of population, were it not for the influence which prospective value exercises upon present value. Where speculation in land is permitted, more so where it is encouraged, as it is with us, the prospective value of land, the incentive to speculation, must exercise a very great influence upon the present value of land. The value of land is determined not by its actual advantages over the poorest land in use, but by its advantages, prospective as well as actual, over land which offers just sufficient prospective advantage to make its possession desirable. The prices of land in the United States today are not warranted by our present population. Still, they are sustained by speculation founded upon the certainty of the greater population which is coming. Every promise, every hope, is discounted by land speculation. And land being indestructible and costing less to keep than anything else, for the taxes on unimproved land are generally lighter than on anything else, and being limited in amount, so that no increase in price brings about an increase in supply, these anticipations form a firm basis for price. Land has no intrinsic value. It is not like a keg of nails, which costs about so much to produce, and the price of which cannot therefore go much above or fall much below that point. It is worth just what can be had for it. If a man must have land where speculative prices rule, he must pay the price asked, and the price he pays is the gauge by which all the surrounding holders measure the value and assess the price of their lands. One rise encourages another rise, and the course of prices is up and up, so long as there is expectation of future demand. And whenever a temporary panic comes, the land prices recover as quickly as it is natural for hope to reassert itself in the human breast. A great singer buys a lot in a little Illinois town, and real estate advances 50%. A train of cars comes to Oakland, and for miles around land cannot be bought for less than $1,000 an acre. A few men in San Francisco say to each other that the city is sure to be the second on the continent, and straightway the hilltops for long distances are being bought and sold at rates which would be exorbitant if San Francisco really contained 1 million people. He who wants a piece of land to use must pay the speculative price. We are thus compelled to pay the present prices based on what people will be compelled to pay in the future.